Okay, I'm just going to start now. All right, so before I start, brief introduction. My name is Rehan Hamidani. I'm a third semester student here at MUA. I am the class president of my class, and I'm also the vice president and treasurer of the American Medical Student Association. So I'm a little bit involved on campus, more than some students. But I'm going to answer some questions about, so frequently asked questions, I guess. And if time permits, I'll answer some questions in the chat. If I don't get around to answering those questions, feel free to contact me personally afterwards, or if you see this video after I'm done live, contact me privately. I'll sure to help you out. But okay, so I am from Canada. I went to school at the University of Toronto. I majored in biology and psychology. And like many others, I'm obviously Canadian. So first question, why did you choose MUA? Were you accepted to other Caribbean med schools? When I was first applying to medical schools, I only knew about a few big names, Ross, St. George, Saba. I didn't really know about MUA. After some research, I found out about MUA because it was a sister school of Saba. So after a bit of research, some applications out, I did get accepted to some other schools, including Ross and Xavier. I chose MUA for a couple of reasons. The biggest one for sure was because it's smaller class sizes. So most schools have huge class sizes. I figured a bonus of having a small class size is that you get to know your professors better and your peers better as well. Figured less students in the class, professors are more available to help you if you need them. When there's hundreds of students in a class, they don't have time to meet everybody whenever they need. Another reason I chose MUA was definitely the anatomy lab. Most schools don't have actual cadavers. They have models, or I guess not real cadavers. But I figured it'd be a great chance to learn and great experience, because when else am I going to get the chance to work on a human body like that other than surgery maybe? But even if still, I wouldn't be learning much. The third reason I chose MUA is because, well, it ties back to me being Canadian. It's a lot cheaper than most schools, significantly cheaper. And being Canadian, we don't get much financial aid. We do, but it's a bit tricky to get it. And if you're a Canadian like myself, I definitely recommend reaching out to MUA Financial Aid. They helped me get what I needed to get. So that's my best advice if you're Canadian and you need financial aid. But yeah, those are my reasons for choosing MUA. Next question, how has your experience been so far? If I had to choose one word to describe my experience, I'd definitely say it's been surprising. Since the moment I got off the boat, I had no idea what to expect. I docked at this beautiful beach, saw this fancy apartment. I thought I lived there. I didn't know anything. Turns out it's one of the most the biggest tourist spot, or one of the biggest tourist spots on my island here. We ended up getting on this bus. It was kind of strange, but we showed up at my apartment late night, and every day since then has been a surprise. Waking up my first morning here to donkeys outside my house was an experience I won't forget. But yeah, it's been interesting. I didn't know what to expect with MUA, with medical school in general, actually. I figured it'd be hard, but the course, though, definitely did surprise me. It was a lot. I mean, it should be a lot, but it did surprise me again. The professors definitely made it quite easy for me to adjust to it. They helped me adjust into how to manage my time, how to focus on what's important. But yeah, it's been exciting. I'll go into more details as I go through more questions. But yeah, if you have any questions, feel free to ask, by the way. Next question. What was anatomy like? What are your favorite courses and why? Anatomy was good. I wouldn't say it's my favorite course. I'm not really the majority here. A lot of my peers loved anatomy. It was, however, one of my best learning experiences ever. The way it was organized, in the mornings we'd have lecture, and they'd kind of teach you about it on the board, show you diagrams. They teach you the clinically relevant concepts. But if you're like me, the diagrams don't really translate into real life experiences. So after lunch, you had your lecture in the morning, you go to the lab, and the lab lets you, I guess, see it in person and put what you learned in the morning together with real life experiences. You can bring those clinical, I guess, scenarios and tie them back and visualize them yourself in front of you. So anatomy was definitely a good learning experience. It's very hands-on. It's probably the best hands-on experience I've had so far in my education so far. Um, my favorite course, though, courses were in second semester. I'd say, well, in second semester you take three main courses: biochemistry and IDR, which is immunology and microbiology. I'm not sure if I like those courses because the professors taught it in such a fun way, or if it's because it was the first time I started tying things together, tying concepts from each course to other courses. And it was the first time that I started using outside resources as well as class, as well as lecture. I didn't find that in my first semester I was using those outside resources, and I was struggling to find what's important sometimes. The professors did a really good job of explaining stuff to me, but I was a bit overwhelmed. In second semester, when I started combining what the professors were providing me with what I had elsewhere, everything started piecing together really well. Professors made connections to each other's courses. That's why I like Med too, I think, or biochem and microbio. Next question. How are the professors? Are they there to help you? Professors are pretty great. There are obviously going to be some varying opinions, but I can say that most, if not all, professors really make an effort to get to know you on a personal level. They are looking out for you as a student. They're always available to help you when you need them. Uh, I'm not like most students in the sense that I do a lot of my learning outside the classroom. So in class, what I like to do personally is I like to use the professors to learn the concepts, but I memorize and stuff outside of class, like a lot of students do as well. But I realized that the professors, they explain everything so well, and they follow the curriculums or they follow the same layout as a lot of those, I guess, your recommended resources for the step one. So professors so far, based on their availability to help you and the way they teach you, pretty good overall, 100%. Next question. Tell us about the island and your living quarters. How is the food? I can tell you a lot about the food. Um, I'll be honest, my first semester here, I was living closer to school. The reason I was doing that isn't really because I wanted to be close to school. I just didn't really know much about the island and what it had to offer. And that's my fault for not really contacting people who lived here. Nowhere else can give you the experience or give you the understanding of what island life is like unless you're actually living on Nevis. So I lived close to school. It wasn't the greatest place. Definitely a big shock coming from Canada, but it was nice. It was nice being close to school. It was helpful to adjust into island life and life at MUA. If I had known more about the island and what's available to me, I probably would have stayed close away from school or further away from school. A lot of nice places are further away. They're actually cheaper and nicer. And the reason I didn't do that or didn't look, I didn't know how transportation would be like. Uh, I found out later on that renting cars is relatively simple. It's very accessible, and there's a lot of the bus schedule is, from what I understand, pretty convenient. They work around school hours very nicely. They go, I think, hourly. They're pretty good, and they do go wherever you live. So it's not like there's a common bus stop. If you live at kind of a place that no one else lives, they will come to you still. So it's pretty good. As for food, there's a lot of restaurants around the island. Probably cover most of the cuisines that you'd have back home. Not all for sure. There was no Uber Eats at 3 a.m. when you're studying. That's my biggest complaint. But no, and on campus, the cafeteria has a lot of variety for sure. They're open from an hour before school till like 7 p.m. on weekdays, so you can get all your meals there. They offer meal plans, a lot of variety. They have pre-made meals. The cafeteria is good, a lot of food options. I like to go to the restaurants on weekends and after exams to celebrate. That's pretty much my best favorite leisure, favorite pastime, I guess. Uh, but yeah, there's no Uber Eats for sure. How are other students? Long story short, I have met some of the best people here. I have made some of the best friends I've had in my life, and I'd like to think that I've made a lot of lifelong friendships. My biggest thing about other students here, though, is that upper meds are always willing to help you help lower meds out. When I was in Med 1, I saw help from a lot of Med 2s, even Med 3s, and they always helped me out. It turned into kind of a paid forward type of thing. So all the Med 3s help the Med 2s, Med 2s help the Med 1s. And when you go up to Med 2, you probably can help out the Med 1s if they reach out to you as well. So I definitely like the other people here for sure. Uh, Again, if any questions, feel free to ask. Alrighty. Next question. How has the prep for the USMLE Step 1 been? Honestly, being in my third semester here, I don't think I can truly speak to how well I'm prepared for the Step 1, being as if I haven't written it yet. However, I can say that the school does definitely provide you with the resources you need to do well in your step. All the professors, they teach you, they help you realize what's important. They do highlight the most important clinical aspects of each course, and they follow the, I guess, same layout as most high-yield resources. On top of that, thanks, Kristen. We have a student share here, and the student share is like I guess like a common file server for everybody to share their documents resources. So if you wanted to get other books and stuff, most of them are available to you. Videos and stuff like that are all available to you. So again, like I said, school does provide you with what you need to do well in your step. I personally think if you use your time and resources well, anyway, is definitely able to prepare you for step 1. I still, like I said, though, I can't speak to how well I'm prepared because I haven't written it yet. But I think based on how I'm performing it, MUA is definitely helping me out prepare for it for sure. Any other questions? Let me see. Well, let's talk about. I could talk about some of my biggest surprises here on MUA, or on Nevis rather. So I learned on my second day here that we don't have addresses on Nevis. I came here a bit early to kind of explore the island on my own. It was a good experience for me. I got to learn around. I got to learn about what the island has to offer. I went on my ventures alone. Public transit is quite simple. There's a bus that goes around the island all the time. If you don't want to take the MUA bus, that is. But yeah, transportation is quite simple. You can get into town. There are a few grocery stores, so they're a bit further away, so you can't really walk there or anything. But you take the bus. A lot of your friends will have cars. You can get a car yourself. It's a pretty good time. As for leisure, there are a lot of beaches on Nevis, a lot of nice ones, a lot of beautiful places that I hadn't experienced before in my life. But being in med school, I don't get a chance to go to these places as much as I would have liked to, or as much as I would like to. But after exams, a lot of great places you can go to, a lot of spots that are nice to see. There are a few hikes on Nevis, if you're into that. And our other island. So Nevis is the smaller island. It's part of St. Kitts and Nevis. St. Kitts is quite large. A lot of things to do there. You can take a ferry there. They run on hourly, I think. There's a ferry in town. You can also take your own take speedboats. It's about like a 10-minute boat ride. There's a lot of things to do there for fun. Personally, my leisure just involves trying to hit every restaurant on Nevis. But yeah, that's mostly my leisure. What else? Let's see any other frequently asked questions. If anybody has anything to ask, feel free. I'm here for a bit longer. Kristen, Jonathan, if you have something to recommend, something that people might want to know, please ask. Let's see. What is a typical day in Med 3 like? Okay, so classes run from 8 a.m. until 5 p.m. on average. There are some days where they end early, some days you have gaps. So in Med 1, you don't have lab every day, you have lab 3 times a week, alternating days. So you get off early sometimes, or you get a break in between. But in Med 3, we have class till 5 almost most days. Wake up. I don't go to the gym much. I don't go to the gym at all, actually, but I do have a pool. So I swim in the mornings. That's my routine. I go to school. We have 4 hours of class. Then you have lunch. And then you have 4 hours more of class. Afterwards, I personally don't like to study at home. I study better at school. The library is open till 11 every day. That might sound early for some people. There are spots on campus that are open 24/7. So I usually go to the library until it closes. Depending on how much work I have to do, I might go to those places afterwards. I might come home. I don't sleep much. I don't recommend that. Sleep is definitely very important, so please do that when you get to medical school. Don't let it affect your own health. Uh, but yeah, so most of my days just involve class and studying, as you'd expect in med school. Uh, what else? Uh, do professors have office hours before and after class? Professors do have office hours, not really before because, I mean, class starts at 8 a.m. If you asked, I'm sure some would agree to meet you earlier. Most professors have office hours during lunchtime. But however, they can make exceptions. You can always call them, or you can always email them and book appointments to meet with them in their office. But yeah, professors are definitely available. Any advice for new students entering medical school? What to expect and challenges I faced? Challenges I faced. This is actually my first time living away from home. So to answer Jonathan's question and Kristen, challenges for me were definitely getting used to having a roommate. My first time having a roommate, my first time living away from home. I had to learn how to cook, and I still haven't learned properly. But adjusting to all that, plus having med school, biggest challenge is definitely time management. Uh, Being in class for 8 hours a day is exhausting, very beneficial, very helpful, but it is exhausting for sure. So time management was definitely my biggest challenge because being in class till 5 p.m. doesn't leave you much time afterwards to study if you want to get a proper night's sleep. So learning how to pick out what's important, learning how to manage my time effectively, and study what's important every day was my biggest challenge. I found that I had to get advice from upper meds to figure out what to focus on. So that was my biggest challenge for sure. Um, what to expect? It honestly depends on how much you know about the island. I do recommend definitely asking people advice. Again, you can always reach out to me. But I didn't know what to expect. Most of the questions I asked before I got here were about the curriculum, were about how well it prepares me, were about the classes, what books I should buy, etc. I didn't ask many questions about what island life is like. I had no idea there'd be goats and donkeys and cows running around everywhere. I had no idea that the content that would be so much. I figured it'd be a struggle to learn a lot of things. I didn't know there'd be so many things to learn every day. So that was my biggest thing about school. But about island life, it's kind of just hard to describe it, but I've never lived in a place like Nevis before. So seeing the transportation, seeing there's only one road around the island, it's a pretty small island. You can get around it all in maybe half an hour driving. Campus is quite nice. In Med 1, your classroom, the window in the back looks out onto a beach. Kind of a nice view for sure, but you can't really go there because you're stuck in school. But it's nice to be in school. It is a smaller school. The benefits are you get to know your classmates, your peers better, know your professors better. You get to know everybody on campus really. You see the same people every day. You walk around, similar like familiar faces. Everyone becomes friends. It's a good experience for sure. But I didn't expect any of this. Hmm. What else? Yeah, COVID, being away from home. There's always the thing is nowadays we can always FaceTime. You can WhatsApp call your parents if you want. I have a lot of family back home, so I do call them quite often. So that's my coping. It's not too bad. Some people find it easier than others do for sure. I do find that later in the semester, after your I guess I'd say it's like 60% way through a semester, you start to get tired, start to burn out for sure. That's when you start to miss home. You want to go home. You want to get the semester over with. So I'm at that point right now, semester. But after Med 1 definitely felt the longest to me. Your breaks are only about 2 weeks long. Uh, so you kind of just got to get used to island life. I find that my mindset was when I got here Med 1 is that I have to like it here because if I miss home all the time, I don't make the best of it, I'll be miserable. So I had to make this place home. I had to make everyone here like family. So that was that's my best advice to you, honestly. Enjoy it while it lasts because you're here for just shy of 2 years. It's an experience you probably won't get later on, or not like this at least. All right. Any other suggestions or questions? Again, if you don't see this until afterwards, definitely feel free to message me on Facebook. I'll get back to you as soon as possible. Answer any questions. So, but yeah, I guess I can talk about the gym and stuff from what I know about. There's a gym on campus. It was recently closed for this semester for a bit. We were renovating, so if you check out the Instagram page or the Facebook, I believe, there's a picture of the new gym. It's quite nice now. If you're not a fan of the school gym, there are two other gyms on the island. One is just past town. It's about 20 minutes away, I would say. It's a bigger gym, probably the biggest on the island. There's also another gym near where I live, which is about 5 minutes from school. It's brand new, it just opened up this semester. So it leaves you with three options now. And if you're not one for gym like me, a lot of beaches you can go to, a lot of beaches, a lot of swimming you can do. Kristen, of course you see first aid. First aid, okay, this to me is like my Bible, uh, for better choice of words, but yeah, this is definitely for useful for new students. I do recommend bringing this with you from your first semester. I didn't get it personally until second semester, but I find that this book helps you know exactly what's important. It gives you study aids, mnemonics, memory tools, everything you need to know. It follows every course. It's broken down by system, high yield topics, everything you need to know. I think if you can memorize this book, you can probably ace your step one. So I don't think this is enough as it is. You definitely do need to follow along with class with this one. But first aid is definitely useful. Please bring it to news with you when you come here. But yeah, most students use first aid. It's probably the best resource. There are a lot of other resources that are available that I recommend. If you don't know, again, feel free to contact me. But yeah. Alrighty. Thanks for asking questions, Kristen. Super helpful. Yeah, I'm just trying to figure out if anything else I missed. People would like to know. Yeah, nothing right now. I'll stick around for a bit longer if you don't have any questions. What else is there? How about arriving on the island? What was that experience like? Okay, so I'll talk about my whole flight process. So when I first flew here, I decided to go for the easiest flight I could find. I had one layover. It's quite short, but I landed in St. Kitts. I didn't land in Nevis. So when I landed in St. Kitts, I had contacted uh, through the school. I believe it was Charlene. But yeah, so she helped me. She got a taxi. I walked out of the airport, had my bags. There was a sign for MUA students. I walked towards the sign. I got on the bus. It didn't look like a bus, but it was a bus. You'll get used to that on the island. We drove over to a beach. It was kind of dark. It was late at night. It's like around 11 p.m. So pulling to the beach was quite shocking. It was dark. We got on a speedboat. They took my luggage. We got to Nevis in about 10 minutes. And I mentioned this earlier, but when we docked, we docked at a place called Yachtsman. Very fancy spot. I didn't know. I for some reason thought I lived there. I looked around like, wow, this is beautiful. Someone said, no, you don't live here. You live about 15 minutes away. I'm like, oh, okay. I was a bit disappointed because it was beautiful, but got on a second boat. Second bus. Went towards school. I lived at a place called Horizon. It was maybe a 3-minute walk from campus. So that was very helpful for sure. But yeah, we pulled up there. It was very dark. This nice view, even still at nighttime. I had no idea what to expect. Again, like I said, it was late, so I went to bed right away. In the morning, for me, I woke up, I went to school. I had no idea which way it was, but I remember from the night before saying it was that way. So I started walking. In about 30 seconds, I saw the school. So when I got there, we went to town. They took me to town. I got my first batch of groceries. I went to the bank, figured out my rent situation. So it was a bit of an adjustment for sure. It was kind of shocking. I had no idea what I was doing. I was going with the flow. That's why I came a bit early because the next day I tried to do all that on my own. So it was an interesting experience for sure. But yeah, that was my experience arriving here. Since then, I didn't take many quick flights. It was just if you don't look early enough, you're gonna find that you're gonna have long layovers, like 14 to 13-hour layovers. Book your tickets in advance. But yeah, definitely interesting experiences for sure every time. Yeah, I think that's probably it. Uh, Again, thanks for stopping by. Thanks for asking questions, Kristen. If anyone has questions, they see this video later on, or they couldn't ask questions right now, feel free to message me privately if you'd like. Uh, I'll definitely answer them as soon as possible. But yeah, thanks everyone for coming by. Uh, in the chat, you'll see the contact information for the admissions department. So if it's something you're considering, please send them an email, phone call. Yeah, all right, thank you. I'm gonna get back to studying now.